Welcome back to Unstuck, episode 2 with me, Andri Søren. This is me talking about being blocked basically by myself, either creatively or in terms of being productive. And by that, I mean wanting to make more music videos, in particular for this YouTube channel. And it's only recently I finally managed to sort of unclog the plumbing of my brain so that this would actually happen and I would go forward with these videos. I made episode 1 and I had really nice feedback from you guys. Quite a few of you basically said this is something you're also feeling. It's clear I'm not alone and you're not alone either. Before I continue, I do want to promise you I'm going to be making more music. I mean, I'm promising myself most importantly, because I know that's why many of you joined this channel in the first place, and I have some pretty cool stuff coming up, I think. And so hold tight if you were waiting for music and were not really waiting for me to talk to you about the trials and tribulations of being a creative entrepreneur. The last thing I would like to say is I've started this podcast also called Unstuck, which you can find on Spotify, and already some of the episodes are on Apple Music. So yeah, go and check it out if you like. Now, let's get unstuck. Step 1. Recognizing that you're stuck. This is not Alcoholics Anonymous here, but it definitely helps to be pretty frank with yourself and also with people you either know you can already talk to or people you can go and find, and just having a coffee with them and basically spitballing the issue that you're having and listening to them. I mean, it's a two-way street. That's obviously very important. But that's step 1. Being vulnerable with yourself or other people to say, yeah, I think I need some kind of help, or I need to think about this a little bit, give it some time and not just get frustrated by it. This is something you can do offline, in the, as I said, analog world with people you already know, or you can also do it online. There are plenty of people discussing these kind of things out there in the ether, but I actually do tend to lean towards trying to find people who you can just sit and talk to about these kind of things. And actually it happened to me the other day, basically, that a guy who just moved to the city where I live, he was kind of struggling with finding work, and he works in one of the same fields as I do, because I'm also a photographer. He had a lot of uncertainty about what he was doing, which is, if I looked at what he was doing, it was crazy, because he's doing good stuff. And we basically had in the end a 2-hour coffee session where by the end of it, I'd managed to convince him that in fact what he was doing was good, and that you need to structure your progress in a way. Like, I pointed out to him that there was 1 or 2 steps that if he would just do those first, the rest is going to come. And by that I meant going out, proactively looking for clients, and making some noise, making some stuff happen, basically. That's a very short description of what we really talked about, but it was great. It seemed to be great for him, and it was great for me. So my point is, this can work really well in 2 directions. So when you share your problems or issues with someone and they do the same, there's this kind of positive feedback loop that can start. Of course, you kind of need to have the right person in front of you sometimes, or it might not work the very first time. But if you think you've got anyone out there who might be open to this idea of just sharing, then give it a bash, and I don't think you'll regret it. And like I say, if you're making music, or if you're in any creative field, try and build a little crew. Go online wherever you are, Facebook, or any forum or any kind of place online, and just say, hey, does somebody want to meet up and shoot some ideas around and see what's going on? And you can be surprised what can come from that. But let's talk practical. I mean, meeting people is obviously fine and well, and I think it's a really, really great one, especially for the soul and just kind of mental cleansing. But there are some practical things that I would like to share that I think can be great for just getting stuff done, because the point of Unstuck is not just that we constantly talk about how stuck we are, but that we actually have something that we can say, I did that, it's done. One of the best ways I know, and one of the things that I've been teaching, is to basically look for a number of tasks that you would like doing and concentrate on them. So for example, one day you say, today it's beats, just making beats. I'm gonna pick one set of drum sounds, and I'm gonna generate 10 clips, 10 loops from that, and that's it. And then see what you have. And if it went well, just continue. And basically do this for 30 minutes. And the reason this is important is because most of us who are, for example, making electronic music or doing a lot of freelance work in general, is that we're self-taught. We learned our passions just by doing them. We didn't all go to university or particular schools for those subjects. And it means that we're often left with a lot of passion, but not a lot of structure. And it's very difficult when you're on your own, and I mean really trying to be creative on your own, to get things done. And the reason is because we've not been sort of trained, or we've not picked up the habits of just doing one particular thing for a while and then closing it up. Take, for example, somebody who plays a classical instrument like I did. I mean, I learned to play the piano and the violin, and what I learned there was something really important, which is, you know, practice, practice, practice. And that sounds very boring, and in a way it was, especially when playing the violin, sorry. But what it does is it reminds you that there is this need to focus on a particular aspect of a particular thing and do it a number of times, because not only do you obviously get better at doing it, you actually have a sort of result at the end of it, instead of, I want to make some music, okay, some beats, okay, I'll look for a bass sound, okay, I'll look for some leads and stuff, and before you know it, you've gone down so many rabbit holes that you're left with a sort of pile of stuff, and you've made some kind of progress, but it's not that specific, it's not self-contained, like, for example, making a beat would be. And it's just cathartic. It just feels good to just say, today I achieved something, and that was I upped my game in doing X or Y or Z. And now we come to perhaps the most important part of all of that, is that I think once you do manage to make some progress and you do manage to make a very cool beat or short snippet of something, there's this urge to then go and share it with everybody. And I would say maybe don't rush to do that, because what can often happen is that you then measure the success of what you did by, oh, how many people commented on what I've just shared, or how many people liked it or listened to it. But I don't think that's really the most important measure of success, and certainly not at this exercise of just getting something done, because you're doing it for yourself. And I really mean this. The most important measure is, did you set yourself a goal, and did you manage to achieve it? And it can be really small. It could just even be, I'm going to organize all of my kick drum samples today, and I'm going to choose my 10 favorite ones. That's it. That is the success, not the social one, basically. We're talking about the creative one. Without one, you're not going to have the other. That's guaranteed. If you're not so sort of multi-talented that you're always getting good music out, and then also you're really great at getting attention for what you're doing, yeah, it's normal you're not going to have all of the results you want in each part. They are different, very, very different creatures, very different battles that you have to fight. So my point is, concentrate on the one that you want to do, which could be the social one if you want. That could be your target. I'm going to take the 5 tracks I've made that nobody ever heard, and I'm going to do my best to get them heard. And that's the battle you're going to choose to fight. So the last thing I would say is that there are a few places out there where basically being productive has been sort of structured for us. So take, for example, competitions where you're asked to create a song or create an artwork over a short amount of time. There's certain limitations, certain rules, and you have a deadline. This is great. Really, try it at least once in your life, because what happens is the limitations force you to make progress and kind of release you from thinking about all of the different possibilities you normally have. And there's also a kind of a topic or a theme, and that also helps. And most importantly, perhaps there's a deadline which you have to respect. And as I said before, the thing that we don't have when we're on our own, when we are individuals just trying to be creative, are these kind of structures, these kind of deadlines. I mean, when you're a freelancer, yeah, you have a client and they need it by a certain date. That helps. But when you're just being creative, we often don't have that. We're just making stuff and hoping to finish it at some point. And we need structure. We need some sort of push. I've done some competitions, and really I'm so happy with the stuff that came out. It took me a while to realize that the most important thing about it was that I made something, and that I finished something, and that I also really liked it, and not that I didn't win the competition. Because that, again, is not the point. It's really not the point, I don't think. The point is getting something done and using the vehicle of a competition to help you. And I remember I came pretty close to winning some stuff, and I was kind of annoyed afterwards. And then it's a few years later, I'm playing this music back to, for example, my students, and they're like, wow, this is really great. And I'm like, hey, it is. And why is that? Yeah, because there were creative limitations and there was a temporal limitation. It had to be done, it had to be finished. So try some competitions. Another place you can also try, and I need to check the exact name of it, but I believe it's called something like Weekly Beats or Weekly Cypher. And a friend of mine uses this, and he basically every week submits a track to this website. And there's a crew of people there who give each other feedback and listen to things. And he says that sometimes he makes something good and sometimes he really doesn't. But the trick is that he makes something. And this is what's driving a sense of progress and an improvement in his ability to just make music, enjoy it, and have that sense of, I'm going somewhere. I'm going to put a link to that in the description. And I think I'll bring this to a close. I think the last thing I'll put a link to is my podcast, which is even more sort of rough and more like a audio sketch pad than these videos. But I'm really sharing the best stuff I can think of over the past 5-6 years. So that was episode 2 of Unstuck, and I can only wish you the best and that you yourself go and get unstuck. And it's ciao for now. Oh, and if you didn't subscribe already, you know what to do. Did you subscribe yet? Ciao.